Hello students, I am Ashok, your English teacher once again present with a new video for you. I hope all of you will be fine at home and will be following the instructions and guidelines of the government to avoid the risk of COVID-19 disease. Today I'll discuss a very important grammar topic, active and passive voice. In this video we will know what is voice and how it is different from verb. We will also come to know about the difference between active and passive voice and uses of both with examples. So let us start today's discussion. Verbs and voice. Voice is the form a verb takes to indicate whether the subject of the verb performs or receives the action. So through voice we come to know whether the subject of the verb does something or receives the action. There are two types of voice, active voice and passive voice. Now we will come to know about active voice. Active voice indicates that the subject of the verb is acting. Because the subject does or acts upon the verb in such sentences, the sentences are said to be in the active voice. Active voice shows that the subject of the verb is acting or doing something. So those sentences where subject do something or acts upon is called active voice. See, some examples are there where subject is doing the verb's action. The dog jumped onto the boy. This is the sentence, and here dog is subject and verb is jump. So dog is jumping, it means subject is active. So this is active voice. Christy will give a book report to the class. Christy is here subject and she is shown here active or doing something. So here again subject is active, so it is active voice. The computer ate my paper. Computer is here used as subject and it is doing something. Eat is here the verb. So once again in this sentence it is shown that the subject is active, so it is the example of active voice. Now see what is passive voice. In a passive voice sentence, the subject and object flip-flop, means they are interchanged with each other. The subject becomes the passive recipient of the action, means object takes the place of subject and it becomes passive there. Because the subject is being acted upon or is passive, such sentences are said to be in the passive voice. Means in passive voice subject remain passive, he does nothing, rather object is shown acting upon him. These are some of the examples you can see here. These examples show the subject being acted upon by the verb. The boy was jumped on by the dog. Boy is here subject and it is boy is not doing anything. Rather, something else is doing an action over him. A book report will be given by Christy to the class. Book report is here as used as subject, so here it is doing nothing, rather it is doing something by someone else over it. My paper was eaten by the computer. Paper is a subject and paper is doing nothing here, it is passive, so it is the example of passive voice. Now there are certain reasons to use the active voice. Most writers prefers to use active voice because it is more direct, means there is no any confusion to use active voice. It is very easy to make active voice sentence. So let us compare active and passive voice in these two sentences. The waiter dropped the tray of food. It is active voice. And passive, the tray of food was dropped by the waiter. It is passive voice. So second one is not so clear as the first one is. Reason to use the active voice again. The active voice is less awkward and clearly states relationship between subject and action. Once again, compare these two sentences. Passive, your request for funding has been denied with the review committee, and it is changed into active. The review committee denied your request for funding. So second one is looking very clear. The active voice sentence pattern propels the readers forward through your writing, thus avoiding weak prose. So whenever a reader read a prose, if it is an active voice, his interest is continue to read the book and avoid the risk of weak prose. When to use passive voice? In general, the passive voice is less direct, less forceful, and less concise than the active voice. Use the passive voice in the following situations. So certain situations are given there. You can go through where we can use passive voice. So passive voice can be used when you do not know or do not want to reveal the performer or an action. Sorry, performer of an action means when you don't want to give preference to the performer, you can use passive voice. You can use passive voice when you want to emphasize the receiver of an action. When you want to emphasize the receiver of the action, then the doer of the action. So you can use passive voice there also. See there, my bicycle was repainted by John. Here, bicycle is the subject and John is the doer. Actually, he is object here. So cycle is being given preference here, and John is not emphasized. In the second sentence, you can see also my bicycle was repainted. Here, the performer is not mentioned even, and the emphasis is on the bicycle. So in this way, you can use passive voice. Form of passive voice verbs. The passive voice requires a double verb and will always consist of a form of the verb to be. Means we form in any form will be there. And the past participle, usually the en, ed or t form means main verb which changed form will be there. That is called main verb. For example, active voice, John baked the bread. Here there is no any helping verb, but in passive voice the bread was baked by John. Was is used here and it is the form of V form, V verb. Was is the form of the verb V. So in this way, two verbs are there when we use passive voice. One is main verb and one is helping verb. Form of passive voice verbs. Writers should be familiar with the forms of to be, often called linking verbs. So these V forms are called linking verbs so that they can easily identify the passive voice in their verb. So writers use this word to identify the passive voice in their work. Review the forms of to be. So these are some of the examples where you can see that different forms of V form are given. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, being. So these are the form of be verb. Form of passive voice verbs. Note the forms of to be in the examples of the verb to kick in various forms of the passive voice. Is kicked, was kicked, is being kicked, has been kicked, was being kicked, had been kicked, is going to be kicked, will be kicked, can be kicked, should be kicked. So here you can see is, was, is, ween, wing, ween, we. All these are the forms of we verb. Is kicked, it is used in present indefinite when it is in passive. Then was kicked, it is used where the sentence is of past indefinite. Is being kicked, it is used in present continuous. Has been kicked, it is used in present perfect tense. Was being kicked, it is past continuous tense. Had been kicked, past perfect. Is going to be kicked, it is used uh, in present continuous as well as in future. Will be kicked, future indefinite tense. Can be kicked, it is here used model can, should. So be is used with it, and verb's third form is used. So this is the use of V form of verb to be used in passive voice. Form of passive voice verbs. Often passive voice sentences will be containing a Y phrase indicating who or what performed the action. So Y preposition is used in passive voice. Passive sentences can be easily transformed into active sentences when the object of the preposition Y is moved to the subject position in the sentence. Form of passive voice verbs. Examples are there. The cookies were eaten by the children. The children ate the cookies. This is active voice. The tunnels are dug by the golfers. And in the active voice, it can be the golfers dig the tunnels. Dug is here written wrongly. First form of verb should be there. So in this way, you can change passive voice into active voice. Now let us practice. Change the sentences below to the active voice. The statue is being visited by hundreds of tourists every year. This is the passive voice. Now we will change it into active voice. The statue is being visited by hundreds of tourists every year. So when we change it into active voice, it will be like this. Hundreds of tourists visit the statue every year. My books were stolen by someone yesterday. So when it will be changed into active voice, it will be like it. Someone stole my books yesterday. These books had been left in the classroom by a careless student. So when it will be changed into active voice, it will be a careless student had left the books in the classroom. Coffee is raised in many parts of Hawaii by plantation workers. So when it will be changed into active voice, it will be plantation workers raise coffee in many parts of Hawaii. The house had been broken into by someone while the owners were on vacation. Someone had broken into the house while the owners were on vacation. This will be active voice. Now see the direction how to change the sentence below to the passive voice. Children cannot open these bottles easily. So we have to interchange the subject. Children here is subject and it will become object, and bottles are here used as object. So bottles will be replaced to the subject. So the bottles cannot be opened easily by the children. This will be the formation of passive voice. Then second one, the government built a road right outside her front door. So when we change it into passive voice, it can be like this. A road is built outside her front house by the government. Sorry, a road was built outside her front house by the government. Mr. Ross broke the antique vase as he walked through the store. So when we change it into passive voice, it will be: the antique vase was broken by Mr. Ross as he walked through the store. When she arrived, the changes amazed her. She was amazed by the changes when she arrived. This will be the passive voice. The construction workers are making street repairs all month long. So, street repairs are being made by construction workers all month long. So, in this way, you can change active voice into passive voice. That's all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day.